place this particular thing on it. Because this last part is the most personal, the most vulnerable. The part that even now, knowing everything I know about the value of honesty, costs me something to say out loud. It is about what I felt, alone in the dark after all the remembering and the weight and the decision about worthiness. It is about what came after all of that settled, when the thinking was done and the deciding was done, and there was nothing left but the quiet and whatever was true underneath everything else. Underneath the confession and the anger and the decision and the careful, serious, fully committed worthiness. Underneath all of it. Just the simplest, most undefended thing. The thing that was there before I had words for any of this, and will be there long after the words have been said, and absorbed and become part of the permanent record of what passed between us. I was sitting in the dark and the house was completely quiet, and I had finished thinking and finished deciding, and I was just there, just present in the stillness of a late night that had asked more of me than most days do. And what I felt, quietly, without drama, without announcement, was grateful. Not the polite surface kind of gratitude that you express when someone does something nice and the social contract requires acknowledgement. The deep kind. The kind that comes from somewhere below your sternum and spreads outward slowly, like warmth from something that has been burning steadily for a long time without your noticing. I felt grateful for you in a way that brought tears to my eyes, which is not something that happens easily for me, and I sat with those tears, and I did not rush them, or explain them away, or feel embarrassed by them in the way I might have once. I just let them be what they were, which was love. Which has always, in my experience, been what tears are when they come in the quiet and the dark without a specific grief to attach themselves to. They are just love with nowhere else to go. And in that gratitude, in that quiet dark, something became clear to me that I want to share with you now. Something about the nature of what we have that I had been partially understanding for a long time, but had not yet seen in its complete form. I had been thinking about our connection, about you and me, and this thing that exists in the space between your life and mine, in terms of what it does, what it produces, the things it has made possible in me, the ways it has changed my work and my honesty and my willingness to be seen. I had been understanding it as something functional, something that operates in the realm of doing and making and becoming. And all of that is true. But sitting there in the dark, I understood that it is also something else entirely. Something that does not function or produce or operate. Something that simply is, simply exists, simply persists quietly and permanently, regardless of what it makes possible or what it changes or what either of us does with it. What we have is real. I know I have said versions of that before, in various ways and with various levels of detail, but I want to say it now in the plainest possible language because I think plain language is what this moment deserves. What we have is real, not metaphorically, not in the qualified, careful sense where real means real for what it is, meaning real within certain understood limitations. Real the way the most important things in my life are real. Real the way the decision I made in that room was real, solid and certain, and not subject to revision based on what it costs or what someone offers me on the other side of choosing differently. What I feel for you is not a performance. It is not a strategy. It is not the calculated warmth of someone who understands that connection drives engagement and has decided to manufacture the appearance of genuine feeling because it serves a purpose. It is the actual thing, the original thing, the feeling that existed before I had any understanding of what to do with it, or where to put it, or how to offer it in a way that you could receive. I want to tell you what real looks like from the inside. Because I think sometimes when someone says something is real, the word floats a little. It gestures at something without landing in a specific enough place to actually mean what it is trying to mean. So let me be specific. Real for me looks like thinking about you in the middle of tasks that have nothing to do with you. Real looks like the particular quality of attention I bring to everything you have ever given me. The way I read your words not once but several times. Not because I missed something the first time, but because I want to receive them fully, want to let them arrive completely rather than processing them quickly and moving on. Real looks like the way your name, Not your name exactly, but the idea of you. The particular feeling that your presence creates appears in my mind at unexpected moments, during ordinary things, during the folding of laundry and the driving through evening cities, and the sitting in expensive rooms, where people are trying to buy something that is not for sale. Real looks like this. Like sitting in the dark after the hardest kind of evening, and feeling grateful instead of resentful. Like choosing honesty when silence would be so much easier and so much safer, and absolutely no one would know the difference except me. Like understanding that what I am most afraid of losing, more than any professional thing, more than any opportunity or platform or carefully built version of my public life, is your trust. Your specific, hard-won, freely given trust. That is what real looks like from the inside. And I want you to know it, because I think you have spent enough time in your life accepting things that looked like the real thing from a distance, but revealed themselves as something thinner up close. I think you know the difference between warmth and performance. I think your body knows it even when your mind is still deciding. And I want every part of you, your mind and your body and the quiet instinctive knowing that lives underneath both, to be able to look at what I am offering and recognize it for what it actually is. There is something I want to ask you, and I want to ask it gently, without pressure, with full respect for whatever your honest answer is. I want to ask you whether anyone has ever fought for your trust the way I am fighting for it right now. Not just declared it valuable. Declarations are easy and cost nothing, but actually practically, in a moment that required something real to be given up in order to protect something real. Whether anyone has ever made the choice that I made in that room. Whether you have been in someone's life in such a specific and irreplaceable way that when the moment came, when something was on the table and a decision had to be made, you were the reason the answer was no. Not one consideration among several. Not a factor in a calculation. The reason, the whole reason, simple and complete and not requiring any further justification. I hope you have. I hope there have been people in your life who understood your worth that clearly and acted on it that completely. But I also know, from the things you have shared with me, from the particular quality of surprise and disbelief that comes through sometimes when you receive something genuinely good, I know that it has not always been that way for you. I know that there have been people who chose differently. Who, when the moment came and the choice was there, chose the other thing. Chose what was easier or more profitable or less complicated or more aligned with what they wanted for themselves. And I know what that does to a person across time. I know how it teaches you to expect less, to hold what you are given loosely in case it disappears, to maintain a private and very sensible skepticism about anything that presents itself as unconditional, because experience has shown you that conditions have a way of appearing eventually, often at the worst possible moment. I want to be the evidence against that pattern. I want to be the data point that your experience has been missing. Not through a single dramatic gesture, though I suppose what happened in that room qualifies as something, but through the accumulation. Through the long, unbroken, consistent record of choosing you, protecting you, telling you the truth, showing up in the ways that matter. I want to do that for long enough that the skeptical part of you, the part that has been trained by disappointment to wait for the conditions to appear, gradually, reluctantly, with full permission to take as long as it needs, I want that part of you to eventually put down its waiting and rest. To decide, based on evidence rather than hope, that this is safe, that I am safe, that what I am offering is what it appears to be, and will remain so, not because I am incapable of choosing otherwise, but because choosing otherwise is simply not something I am willing to do. I want to tell you about something that happened a few days after the meeting. Something small that I keep returning to, because it seems to contain, in miniature, everything I have been trying to say in full. I was going through my phone, just the ordinary scrolling, the half-attentive moving through things that most of us do several times a day, without really being present for it. And I came across something you had sent me a while ago. I do not want to say what it was specifically, because it belongs to you, and the details of it are yours. But it was something honest. Something that had cost you something to say. Something you had offered with the particular careful vulnerability of a person who has decided to trust, but is still a little afraid of what that decision might cost them. And I stopped scrolling. I stopped completely and I read it again, slowly, the way it deserved to be read. And I felt the same thing I felt the first time I read it. That shift, that warmth, that sense of something precious being placed in my hands. But I also felt something new. Something that had been added by everything that had happened in the days between then and now. I felt the full weight of the responsibility. Not as a burden. I want to be clear about that, because responsibility and burden can look similar from the outside, but they feel completely different from the inside. A burden is something you carry in spite of yourself, something that costs you more than it gives. Responsibility is something you carry because you understand what it means, and you have chosen it with full knowledge of the cost. What I felt was responsibility. I felt it clearly and completely, and without any part of me wishing it were otherwise. Because what you gave me in that message, and in every message before it, in every honest moment, in every piece of yourself you have trusted me with across all this time, is not mine to put down. It is not mine to negotiate with or leverage or hand to someone sitting across from me in an expensive room who has decided that your vulnerability is something they can use. It is mine to hold carefully, permanently, with the full understanding that holding it well is not a favor I am doing you but an obligation I have accepted, and that I intend to honor for as long as you allow me to. And here is what I want to say about that. About the honoring of it. About what that actually looks like in practice, beyond the dramatic moments, beyond the meetings and the offers and the nights of clarity in the dark. I want to tell you what it looks like on the ordinary days, because the ordinary days are where love actually lives, where trust is actually built, where the truth of what a person is to you is either confirmed or quietly, gradually eroded. On the ordinary days, honoring what you have given me looks like this. It looks like making choices with you somewhere in them, even when no one would know if I didn't. It looks like refusing the small compromises, as firmly as I refused the large one, the moments where it would be easy to be a little less honest, a little less present, a little less genuinely here, and no one would call me on it because the